I hate to get that wrong.
Should we start singing to bring it in? Do a duet?
Yeah.
Should we just start singing?
You take it off because I wouldn't be able to.
It's fine.
I never recorded at the perfect time.
Did you? You start singing, bring in vibrato and everything. Yeah.
Amazing. You got to keep that in there, Megan.
I'm going to.
I love it.
Welcome back to the Prosperous Life Podcast, everyone. Thank you so much for showing up. I am Braiden Belnap, and today it is such a blessing to have an extraordinary guest on. He's a registered nurse, but alongside that, he's a fellow coach that's helping men transform, becoming their best selves. With that in mind, it is our goal today to help you recognize that you are worthy. You don't have to do anything or be anything special. You are you, and you are worthy. With that in mind, welcome to the show, Mark Allsop.
Appreciate it. Thank you,
Of
Brandon.
course.
Excited to be here.
I feel like we've been wanting to make this happen for a while now, and it's finally coming to fruition.
Yeah, the one thing I'm learning is that the universe kind of presents opportunities and things happen naturally, even without having to force them. And so here I am at the right time, but it's, I have looked forward to coming and hanging out with you for sure. So
I agree. So worthiness. Genuine question. Was there any time in your life that you didn't feel worthy?
Oh yeah. Probably a majority of my life. And I think that's probably why I have recently kind of gone through my own transformation and started to learn how to live from my heart, genuine, authentic heart, and without like having to explain myself at all. That's kind of where my transformation has begun, is just understanding my own worthiness. We're taught and we're measured every day of our life. As soon as we come out of the womb, you're measured, your head circumference is measured, your weight is measured. Are you good enough? Right? The gospel of Google says that worthiness is being good enough, the quality of being good enough. And I just believe that we lose our divine nature when we start measuring up against other people, other things that are external from us.
I love that.
So
when did you recognize, like, I am not being the worthy Mark that I know I am, and this is painful, like I'm suffering inside? When was that moment that you recognized and decided to transform that?
Yeah, so I got my own coach, and that was kind of a journey in itself. My wife was looking for some help outside of our counselor at the time, and me coming from a medical background, I was thinking, unless you have like some letters behind your name, that you wouldn't be able to really help us. And so she came to me and she said, well, I want to drop a certain amount of bucks on this coach. And I'm like, that's crazy. And my mindset was like, that she's not worthy of like coaching you because whatever. But so we got this coach. In the end, like I just kind of surrendered and put faith in. I was a really big tightwad back then. So I put this money forward and with all my faith, and this coach changed my life. Haley, love you. Oh gosh. She literally helped me understand kind of where my wounds and my traumas came from an inner child work, and really helped me like identify that I no longer need to carry all of those things that came from my past, and all of those things that I just didn't measure up against. Like they were all fake all along. And so since then, bro, I live a life like balls to the wall, man. Like I'm just having a good time and realizing we're all going to end up in the same spot at the end anyway. We're all going to be in the ground anyway, right? So
if 3 generations from now, nobody will know who you are.
Not at all. I'll be lucky if my kids remember me, but yeah, dude.
No, it really shines perspective, right? And talking about measuring, the moment that you're born, you're measured, you're weighed, everything is measured. And realistically, that goes through every single day. Are you walking? Are you talking? Are you doing school or good in school? Are you getting A's? Are you getting B's? Are you getting F's?
Mm-hmm.
Are you paying attention or are you playing with a pencil?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're playing with a pencil and thinking of different things other than how to do 1 + 1, then you're not enough. And so many of all these blessings in life, which as I'm talking, I'm thinking through measuring, the good things of life, the blessings, are made to bad things.
Mm.
You take a sensory person that's in tune with themselves, with other people, with energies, whatever, a little bit more emotional, maybe you could say. It's not a good thing. But my question is, why isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, I think what you're mentioning is our uniqueness, right?
Yeah.
In what ways was your uniqueness measured into not aligning with normal?
Exactly.
Right.
Because it's the normal is the measure.
You
And
talk about
anything out of
fidgeting with
that-
you talk about fidgeting with a pencil. So ADD. I had ADD my whole life, and man, I can't imagine having me as a kid, but it was because I was continually people tried to continue to put me in this box or into this measurement that I never was supposed to be measured at anyway. And so,
and look at you living life now, though. Like in my aspect, and I could be way wrong here, so please correct me if I am. But that ADD, I don't fully understand it. Truthfully, I need to do more research on that. But to me, that just means when I hear that you're a creative person.
Can be, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of really successful people that have attention deficit disorder, just like dyslexia, are really brilliant people that didn't fit in a classroom. They learned on their own. When I was 10, I would just walk into the other room and start pushing buttons on the piano. And over years, I learned how to play incredible pieces by ear.
That's amazing.
My mom tried to put me into lessons, and it just drove me nuts. I hate reading. I hate like sitting down and trying to learn something that way. But I could sit down and I'd play John Schmidt, some different songs just by hearing it.
Can you still play today?
I don't have a piano, but I just recently went on a men's trip. And to be honest, I have kind of muted my music ability for about 10 years. Guitar, saxophone, trumpet, drums, like everything. I just kind of picked it up and started playing. I stopped for about 10 years ago, just so much stress and trying to make ends meet for the family and stuff. And when I went on this men's retreat, they had drums. It was this drum circle. And
that's awesome.
Something wild happened. I don't even know. Like, we didn't even need to talk to each other. I literally said like 20 words the whole first night because we just spoke through our drumming. And it sounds weird. Trust me.
What I see is, how do you feel? And some people are probably banging and some people are probably calm. I don't know.
Well, and there's a rhythm, and then you kind of go off the rhythm to kind of make your own statement, and then someone responds. And so there's a conversation in the rhythm that's happening. And something happened, dude. I'm even getting chills. Look, I'm getting chills. Yeah, it's wild. It's really cool. And so ever since then, I'm buying flutes, hand pans. I bought a drum, and thankful to the men down there that really like made me feel welcome and encouraged me to kind of like explore this part of my life. So I'm getting back into it. So
of course, and that brings me back to worthiness.
Yeah,
when I heard you say that, finding the right people will shine the light on your worthiness.
Yeah, so I'm in a lot of men's groups. We Are the They, there's a couple different ones. And, all of them are really geared around giving a place for people to feel welcome and like they belong. And for men, as we're running our lives in a home and trying to provide, protect, we sometimes just want to exist and be welcome just the way we are. And so when we circle this back to worthiness, I've just realized that when men can witness one another, and humans in general, for the divine people that we are, and that I don't love Braiden because he provides so-and-so. I just love Braiden because I know that he's a good man that's doing his best for his wife and future family, and you don't need to be or say or do anything different for me to change that. I just care about you. There's something magical that happens. And some may look at that and say, whatever, soft man or whatever. But the truth is like true, incredible power can come from being witnessed and witnessing others as they are, not needing to be or do anything different.
Yeah, it's really just fully loving somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I lost the whole terminology, and the terminology really doesn't matter. It's the message, obviously, but not having really any expectations attached to your love.
Yeah,
being able to say, "Hey, I love you, for who you are, for the person you want to be," and that's a journey, right? It's not again, coming back to measuring.
Mm-hmm.
Results come in time.
Mm-hmm.
So worthiness, in my perspective, isn't necessarily that I need to do X, Y, and Z to be worthiness. Although for me to feel worthy, there is certainly things that I need to do.
100%. So that's why I kind of have that caveat of when you're looking to worthiness outside of you, the measurement that's coming outside of you. Because obviously I can't just wake up in the morning and stay in bed all day and expect beautiful things to happen. But when we stop measuring our success from the outside of us, it allows something incredible to happen inside of us, then to bless others and help them feel the same inside of themselves.
I love that.
So,
and what I tell people with a prosperous life is a prosperous life is not a destination. It's a journey.
yeah, absolutely.
And connecting this back to worthiness is, okay, what do you need to do for your spirit? What do you need to do for your mind, your body, your relationships, the impact you're making? Maybe it's an act of business. It doesn't necessarily need to have a result attached to it. But for me, I love doing this podcast. Is it business related? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But by doing this makes me feel worthy because I know I'm making an impact.
Right.
And as you mentioned before, the cameras, whether it's one person, whether it's two people, whether it's a million, one person is all that makes this podcast worth doing it.
Yeah. I showed you a picture of the earth versus the volume of the earth versus the volume of water versus the volume of air. It's so much smaller. And the way I'm starting to look at life and people in my life and people out of my life, just walking around town or whatever, that every single person's element is needed, no matter how big or small it is. When you can look at people, and I'm not perfect at it, just asking and calling out people's element, that they're good people. And then that's where we can really lift society out of this hole we're in, dude, where people don't feel like they're measuring up to anything. You could be driving a Ferrari, flying a helicopter, whatever the world's going on right now, and like still feel like crap going to bed. I'm trying to think of the time when I started seeing people in that light. There was like a specific time when I could like recognize that anytime that someone's trying to hurt me, someone's trying to like evoke a negative response from me, I can love them through it. I can recognize that it's just them hurting. It's just them hurting. It's them feeling that they don't add up, that they don't measure up, that they aren't enough, the quality of being enough, right? And when you receive people in that, man, oh, they soften, it's amazing. And then they can allow for the inside, that's the stuff that they've been muting for a while to kind of come out and start spreading their own ripple, right? I know I'm going off on a tangent, but in general, it's
beautifully said.
Hopefully, yeah.
No, it 100%.
Oh, good.
Wow. You said it. And to me, that just shows the worthiness that you know within yourself. I can't say that I've been perfect. I've been a lot better, thankfully. Wife can also agree to that triggers are a real thing. It comes from a place of unworthiness.
Absolutely. Oh, man.
And when you feel worthy, it's like somebody walks in the room and they're like, your blue hair is ugly. It's like, if you don't have blue hair, you know you're not going to get triggered.
Yeah.
Although if somebody walks in and says, you're not worthy, and you believe you're not worthy, that will shut you down.
Yeah.
But if you know that you're worthy and somebody says, hey, you're not worthy, Braiden Belnap, it's like, right, okay.
And then you think of all the ways you aren't worthy. It's like, oh, you go all the way back to your childhood and all the ways you didn't measure up.
Yeah.
What subconsciously, like for instance, like our work, right? Like as adults, we still have ways to kind of like measure our productivity.
Sure.
And our meaningful impact at work, right? Because they're paying us. That's an energy exchange. But the way that I contribute is going to be quite different than another person's. And they try to individualize it in the corporate world, but it's tough to do, you know?
Well, the people at the head of the company are looking at numbers. They're not looking at who you are.
Right. It's tough to do when you're trying to keep a business alive, especially in these days and age. So
this day and age, they're trying to mold to everybody's needs.
Yeah.
That would be very difficult.
Pay them enough so that they can survive in this very, very competitive world, not just within businesses, but within each other. Like
inflation,
everything.
There's so much going on.
I love it. Love it. But I honestly think the medicine, the treatment, the cure comes from within.
100%. So talking about this, bringing it back to worthiness, there's a lot of reasons not to feel worthy.
Our day is full of reasons to not feel worthy.
Finding the reasons to feel worthy, to me, there's a lot more reasons to feel worthy, although you have to search for them. So what was your journey from not feeling worthy to feeling worthy?
All right. So my dad passed. I'll just briefly describe this. I was on Mark McCormick's podcast and kind of explained this in depth, but my dad died at 8. And I didn't really realize the impact of what that would be like then, obviously. Reached into his coffin, saying goodbye, touched his chest and his arm and his face, and said goodbye, thinking, oh, this is just kind of part of life. Thinking like, well, my neighbor's dad's going to die maybe next week. Like, it's just common. And just the trauma that occurs from that. Looking for any sense of peace. I thought I felt peace, but what it was just a very traumatic response to a child. And then coming across pornography at the age of 9 and feeling the dopamine, right? Like all the chemical stuff that's happening to my body as a 9-year-old, and feeling some sense of, we can call it peace, but it's not peace. It's just dopamine and, you know. And so I kind of lived with this guilt in our society, obviously, and many, that pornography can become a very habitual habit or a habitual problem for people in their life. And it just got worse and worse because it was the only peace I could find. And then going to, in this case, a church that was the intention was pure, that they wanted people to stay away from it because it's dangerous stuff, right?
Sure.
But thinking like, I feel so unworthy. This is the only thing that makes me happy. No one knows the pain that I'm in, and I don't know what to do. And then living through that, man, all the way college, high school, like just putting on masks and avoiding it all. I won't go into details, but finally came to a head, and it was like, I just need to feel worthy within. And again, that coach really helped me just to understand that I didn't need to be anything different. Let's put this in perspective. Okay, so I had 2 houses. I'm a successful nurse. I have a master's in nursing informatics. I have 3 kids that are alive each day, generally. I have an awesome minivan, like all these really cool things. And I felt so unworthy. I built my own kitchen. I had done miraculous things. And at the end of the day, I felt like I wasn't enough. I wasn't a good enough father, a good enough husband, a good enough anything. And I was like, what in the world is going on? Like, if not now, when am I going to feel worthy? When I make $1 million, $2 million, $3 million? And it just got me on this path of surrender and kind of just like welcoming whatever the universe has for me and letting it be enough. And then doing that work internally, that I don't need to be anything different.
I love that. So I want to ask.
Yeah, hopefully that.
That was amazing.
Okay.
And I actually want to pause for a moment and just recognize the fact that you went through that transformation is a beautiful thing.
Mm.
It's a very unfortunate thing, although most people would just throw on the rag.
Mm.
And you decided to say, you know what? I don't like this feeling. I don't like suffering. I'm ready to transform. And you did it. You did the work.
Yeah, still are, right? I mean, it's a daily thing. The universe, if you do some transformation, they'll give you some more to do. So to go back to triggers briefly.
Sure, please.
Triggers are opportunities for us to strengthen our sense of self.
Yes.
Not in an egocentric way, or egoic way. I don't know right way to say that, but from like a very divine nature.
Yeah.
Right. When my wife triggers me, that's my opportunity to look inward and see, how can I be a better person?
Totally.
And if people do that in marriages and in every relationship in their life, dude, by the end of 60 years old, whenever we retire, like, we're gonna be happy people.
Yeah.
There's nothing will trigger us.
And just to relate, to share more of a story along that.
Yeah.
Me and my wife, Megan, obviously behind the cameras, absolutely love her.
Stunning gal.
We met each other at 16 when we were in high school.
Wow.
And to the date, I asked her out on October. I thought I was going to say the date wrong. Get me in trouble, right?
That's fine.
October 8th. 2 years later, so from junior year of high school, the year right after high school, we got married on the exact same day. To speak to this, our childhoods were very different. I went from living an amazing childhood, never worried about food, travel. We lived in a 3-story house, had a basketball court in the backyard. Amazing. Like I would consider a pretty cool
Beautiful, yeah.
house and life. And I didn't see it coming. I thought our life was perfect. My parents got a divorce. And then from there, that was when the market crashed. Each parent worked about 3 jobs. So I went from, it felt like as my kid's perspective, we went from an all-time high to an all-time low. She grew up, her parents got divorced, and she just overall lived in poverty. So we got 2 high school kids coming together, 2 divorced parents, and not really a lot of role models of how to do relationships. So we both came in with quite a bit of triggers. although the transformation, I'm so grateful that we have the mindset that we do at such a young age, because when she triggers me now, in the past, it was quite a bit of triggers, or I triggered her. It was a common thing. But now it's like, wow, you're triggered. You got to go work on some things.
Yeah. I can't imagine Megan triggering anyone. She's a great gal. No, that's actually why relationships exist.
Yeah.
So to relate, that's amazing. And I don't know how old are you?
23.
Dude, the fact that you can even recognize that you're being triggered at 23, you guys are like leaps and bounds ahead of people. Like triggering and just you recognizing that it's a trigger and not reacting, like that's amazing. And so you're set up for life just knowing that. My wife and I, it wasn't until about 2 years ago, and we were just triggering the hell out of each other all the time. Yeah, my wife, when she was 6, her biological dad, kind of like just left her at the side of the road. Told her mom to come get him, and that was it. And her mom was quite an abusive person. So, and then me learning how to be a man from my mother and a football field growing up, I think you could imagine like just the dysfunction. But again, through the coaching and just becoming aware of that relationships are mirrors.
They really are.
Relationships are mirrors. Like if you can look at your wife or boss or anyone as just a way for you to learn, you become bulletproof. Like you just think about all the people that react to the stupidest stuff, man, like road rage stuff, and just it's so easy to like just fall into that egoic concept, right? But it's like, wow, that has no significance in my life. You just keep driving, right? Like
not at all.
So that's the point, is I think at this life is really to recognize your own triggers, understand that your worthiness doesn't like exist outside of you, and to help others.
Life really happens from the inside out. And the moment that you begin to live life from the inside out really living life from the inside out is just the topic of becoming worthy, is that you take control. And that comes from triggers. When you're living on the outside in, that's where triggers affect you, because the outside world determines on how you feel on the inside. But the moment that you say, I take control and I live from the inside out, you now don't give the outside world permission to influence you unless you so choose. And what I mean by that is I choose to allow my wife to influence me. I choose to allow you to influence me. Although if something externally that did not serve me came into my life, I choose from the inside to not allow that to affect me.
Yeah, the beauty of surrender to that, right? Just when you think of like the people, not to turn it super south, but like concentration camps, people that were in really rough situations that still found some joy, right?
Sure.
That were able to find joy in the adversity. Like, isn't that what we're here for? Like, if not to have joy, then for what? And my wife and I recently went down to Costa Rica, and oh, bro, it's a different world down there. Like it's beautiful. But the peace that these people feel just like sitting outside of their very small, very quaint homes after working all day, and no one's on their cell phones. They're just on the porch, just watching traffic and people, and like, it's just isn't like we're just so busy like thinking that we need to get to the next level, or what I call caught in ascension. It's as if like my worth or my progression is based off of where I am next or tomorrow. And it's so untrue. It's just like, yes, we are again internally motivated to do better, to be better, to want more, and all of that. But in what ways do we get caught in that and put value or our worthiness in in the end result of what comes? So I just feel like my last little bit of life, my year and a half of life, bro, I have just like, I do a lot. Like I work really, really hard, but I do not forget to exist, like to just exist. And that's meditation, or that's, all these different things. And anyway, I just want people to kind of find that peace that comes from like just existing, man. It's crazy.
And bring it back to you and your wife and worthiness and eliminating those triggers. It seems like you guys are in a really good place now. At least from an outside perspective.
Yeah. I love my wife so much. Like I love her. And I am so grateful for her in my life. And for so long and for so many years in my marriage, just from society and the way that I was taught that I needed to lead and to be this thing that she follows or whatever, I just have recognized her own divinity and realized her worth it's different than mine. Dude, I'm telling you, she walks into a room and she changes the feeling. She touches, like, she's a very touchy person. She can feel your energy just by being around you. And so she decides whether she wants to interact with you. So she's very choosy, different than me. I love to just have all the energy and hang out with it, but she'll come and touch someone's arm and things happen, bro. Like they just feel peace around her. And she's very protective of that energy, but she has this healing touch that we were even invited to a friend's house the other day, or coming up. Their baby's about to go into bone marrow transplant because they have a really rare blood disorder. And they asked us to come and to just be in his presence and to like hold him. Mostly my wife. I have very little healing capabilities like she does, but dude, she's remarkable. And so I guess the long and short of this is that, like, do not dim your woman's light. They have a divine spiritual connection with God that is like, we just are too dumb. I wouldn't say dumb, but numb sometimes to our divine connection, right? Because we're men. We want to do all the time. So yeah, but for her, man, she's frolicking in the garden, or mowing the lawn, or picking up things here and there, and that's how she feels that connection to God. And it's just beautiful to see. But long story short, we came from a very dark, difficult, very triggering past, and very grateful for my wife.
You guys worked through it. That's such a beautiful thing.
I just love her, man. Like, you just when you see triggers now, you're just like, all right, I love you. Right now, I'm just gonna go downstairs, but I still love you.
It's a working process, right?
Absolutely.
And you mentioned that when you get to a certain place of overcoming triggers, that new triggers will come into play. Mm-hmm. And that is so true. Mm-hmm. It's and honestly, hate to bring the word measurement, but it is a measurement. Mm-hmm. Everything has levels to it. If you play video games, has levels to it. If you're in business, has levels to it. If you're in the corporate world, has levels to it. Your personal development and where your marriage gets to also has levels to it. Mm-hmm. And that's actually the beautiful thing, is when you get married, if you truly believe in marriage and you truly believe in sticking it out no matter what, obviously with little reason, whether that's cheating or whatever, I'm grateful to know that ain't happening. Yeah. Although your partner will help you work through those triggers, or they'll point them out at least. Yeah. Which will allow you as a person to overcome those triggers much quicker.
Yeah.
Because without a person behind you, you may take double the amount of time to find those triggers to work through. You still have to be conscious of, I'm triggered, I'm going to go work on that. It can't just be, I'm triggered, that's cool, and then just go live life, because then you'll never grow.
Right. Yeah. And when you talk about measurement in marriages, like, where does that come from? Are we measuring to the people next door, or, or whatever? Like, when you can measure internally, like, how are you and how am I? And then how are we together? Like, and then measuring that, I think that's, again, where peace comes from. And
of course.
Right.
So let's talk more about transforming, because we've talked about a lot of worthiness and triggers. And truthfully, if we eliminate the triggers, I feel naturally we will be worthy, because it's usually when we don't feel worthy, it's from an external trigger. So if you had to give anybody in the audience right now a step-by-step process on how to transform a trigger, what would you suggest to them?
Yeah. I've been wanting to kind of like conceptualize this onto paper and in a book and that type of stuff. But I think the first step is like recognizing there's a lot of beauty in just witnessing yourself in your own trigger. Like, imagine all the people that are just being triggered and just responding all the time. There's so many. And so the first step for people and the first challenge is to say, oh, I'm triggered. Like, here's an opportunity for me to learn. Like, that's the next step probably, is like, I'm triggered. You could still react, but the next step would be like, okay, I'm triggered. What can I learn from this? I was talking to a friend the other day that was saying she knew that her husband was lying, and it was really frustrating for her. And I said, for a minute, maybe like, don't tell him that you know that he's lying, and look inward and ask yourself, like, why is him lying making you uncomfortable and not able to live in yourself? It's a superpower to recognize that people that are lying. That's a superpower. Stop giving away your secret. Hold it in. Ask yourself, why am I being triggered? Why is this so triggering for me that when I know when people are lying, that I need to react or be uncomfortable? And that's a different thought process, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? Like,
yeah.
Oh, I know you're lying to me, so I've got to be upset. It's like, no. Pause for a minute. Just wait until they come to you with truth, and then applaud and encourage them to continue with truth. And then that's when you get that known behavior from your husband, right? That's what you want from him, is to come to you in honesty. And so anyway, we just are so caught in the reaction of those triggers that, like, if we can pause and then go inward, I think that's the first two steps probably.
So first,
recognize.
Awareness or recognize. I like that word too. And then pause. Don't react. Pause.
Yeah. Maybe in between there is witness. I love the word witness. When you can witness people, you're not changing how you're going to love them and support them in your uncomfortable feelings.
Say that again. That was powerful.
Okay. I hope I can do it. When we can witness people, we don't respond from our own discomfort. We witness people in their discomfort, but it doesn't affect us. It doesn't hurt us. It doesn't make us change our behaviors. It's just watching them and loving them through it. And it's really hard to do. I make it sound like it's all peaceful, love and games, but internally, you're going to be going through some battles, especially if it's someone you care about or caring, love.
Love. It's easy to walk away when you don't care about somebody or don't love somebody.
Yeah. So that was kind of like, There was a time in our healing process there, my coach kept telling me, just witness. Certain behaviors I didn't love about my wife. And I was like, oh gosh, I hate this thing like so much. And it's like, just witness and watch what happens. Like, stop trying to get her to do or be anything different, and instead live in my own internal truth and watch her follow hers. The way to help people grow isn't by helping them recognize their flaws or their measurement where they don't add up. It's really recognizing or witnessing them and loving them through their flaws, right? So I'd say maybe the next step, and I don't even know what steps we're at. I'm conceptualizing this as we go, but the next step is shadow work. So purposefully triggering yourself in some ways, recognizing and looking for ways that you're uncomfortable and diving deep into them. So one thing I did is one thing I didn't love about myself was I hated being alone. Isolation killed me. And I felt like I wasn't worthy of having other people's company. And I went up to Park City and I left my family at home, and I did a 3-day isolation in this hotel room. I had enough food and stuff to just hang out, read books and stuff. Generally very minimal contact. And it got uncomfortable, dude. And so I dove into that pain. Where did it come from? Why is it there? What is it teaching me? How can I become stronger from it? And to be honest, like now I value isolation. Does that make sense? It's weird. It's like, it's just like looking for the ways, for all the things of where you hurt. And so then those things can't hurt you as much anymore. They still can hurt you, but they don't have as much of an effect.
Sure.
And then you live your life from a higher vibration. That I just keep talking. I'm sorry. I hope you're getting some of this.
This is what I wanted. I want you keep sharing. This is good.
So anyway, I am kind of a loner now. I wrote off a lot of friends that kind of didn't give me a lot of their love and attention and thought I was crazy, which I could only agree with. But like, I didn't have to prove anything. My worth didn't come from other people's presence. That's what isolation is. We're all afraid of isolation. Many. That's why when COVID happened, we didn't know what the hell to do. So finding that peace, I hope someday maybe to feel what a monk feels like, right? Like just this internal peace that just exists within. But anyway, isolation is kind of something I look forward to now.
That's beautiful.
So
now, this is a deeper question.
Okay.
Although raising 3 beautiful kids, right? 3 kids. Going through your own transformation, your wife going through her transformation, you guys going through your transformation together. How did you make sure that through all that transformation, you made sure your kids felt worthy of themselves?
Oh, dang, dude. Let me breathe into that one. So my kids are going through a transformation with us because they went through a lot of pain seeing their parents not loving each other the best that they could. And I lived a life of control. If I couldn't control it, if I couldn't predict its outcome, it was unsafe. And that came from, again, my father dying, because when I was at elementary school, I know it's crazy, but when I was in elementary school, when I heard an ambulance, I thought for sure it was my mom. right? Because my dad just died. So why wouldn't it be my mom? And so the only way I could feel safe, and it's interesting because I learned how to manipulate people at a young age positively, right? But still, how can I predict my safety tomorrow and today, like right now, was manipulating adults into doing things that I wanted them to do. But when you have kids, there is no amount of control that can keep them safe. There's no amount of control that can keep them safe. So that's where I learned surrender. And this was a big learning curve. I mean, parental controls. His friends bullying him or them feeling valued within themselves because of all the things that are going to come at them. Like, it was so overwhelming to me to control their environment so that they felt loved and supported, that I almost surrendered and allowed them, like, okay, you're not going to get out of this unscathed. So how can I empower you within to feel worthy, to feel enough, no matter what situation? And it was, the first step was like surrendering to the fact that they won't, that they're going to have to go through the same pains I do and did. And so now I think just that behavior, just changing that one thing, they can feel more peace around me. They can feel more love within themselves, within the home, within our marriage, within all of that. It's less control and it's more surrender. And it's a different way of thinking. Like, it's not that I let him have all access to the internet.
Sure.
But I also don't stay up all night worrying about him doing something, So I have things in place that we worked on and talked about between he and I. This is my son, because I wanted to keep him safe from pornography. This is what I'm kind of talking about. But
have you opened up to him about your journey?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
That's
for
amazing.
sure. No, man, what are we doing if we're not sharing our deepest pains with our
your
kids?
kid has the opportunity to learn from you.
When they're ready.
Yeah.
But he always tells me, like, Dad, I don't need philosopher dad right now. Just talk to me like a friend. So I could, okay, wait a minute. Okay. Let's just hang out. You just want to play video games. Let's do it.
Video games. In life, there's levels, right?
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. As we're becoming like taunting one another about who's better. Exactly.
He's like, I can't beat this beast. And you're like, well, in life, you're going to have beasts.
You're going to have beasts, yeah.
Kidding.
Like, Dad, just shut up.
Yeah, I just want to play games.
Yeah. So, no, he's such a great kid. And it's just so grateful.
And how old is your oldest again?
Yeah, so he's 12. My daughter just turned 9. And my son on July 4th just turned 5.
Amazing.
Every year there was a World Cup. I had a kid. Timed paternity leave, dude.
That's amazing.
So it's like, no, I was a lot of help as a father at home, telling you. So no.
That is, I feel every parent needs to hear this now.
Oh, I hope.
Every parent in this world, and pre-parent, me and Megan included, surrender.
It's scary.
It's one thing to surrender yourself, and I'm not a parent, so I don't feel like I had that full awareness until this conversation. It's easy to surrender me or to surrender my wife's actions. She's her own person. Do as you wish. You're free. But surrendering for your kids, that does sound hard.
They aren't going to get through this life unscathed. And it's a hard reality, harsh reality. You think about the parents that come home with a person that just bullied their kids. Oh, man. The rage. Bro, you've never, think about like the most angry you've ever been. And you just want to go take it out on these kids. And you're just like, how do I surrender to this? And back then, man, like I really struggled.
And we're laughing about it now. I can only
It's
imagine.
hard, dude.
I'm laughing because I feel I would know exactly how I would feel.
Yeah.
And you know how it felt.
Yeah. Mama bears, like mama bears are real. I've had to cool my wife off a little bit here and there. But there's bullies everywhere throughout our life, and I'm not going to be able to protect them their whole life.
Yeah.
And so
a genuine question, how did you handle that?
At first I wanted to control, and this is again, we're triggered at the right time. The universe wants us to learn certain lessons, right? And so when it happened, I wanted to take control of the situation and make sure everyone fell in line, that they knew their place in my son's life and in my life and in their own life. I was like, you better know in your own life that this isn't going to serve you in the long run, but it's not my place. It's not my child. It's not, Then my wife, again, she came in, man, and it's the beautiful part of a relationship, dude. It's like, she just came in and she's like, hey, go take a breath. And just realizing like, all right, instead of taking control, how can I support him? And asking him, like, we think that kids, they need to be taught how to get through a situation. But naturally, kids are going to learn pain, but they're going to learn how to get through difficult things. And so it's not so much how can I do things to make you feel more comfortable. It's how can I make you feel more comfortable to do hard things? Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Ice baths, that type of thing. It's like, how can we make our environment uncomfortable and find comfort in discomfort?
That's amazing.
So
finding comfort in the discomfort of life.
So to go back to your answer, I asked him, how can I help and support you find your own solution? And I came up with a couple of things he could say to his friends. But in general, dude, he's not well received. And that's okay. Like, he is finding his own strength, and one day it's going to serve him. Although it's painful right now and it's hard to see. And so that's okay.
Yeah. He'll get stronger from this, and he may be on a podcast one day talking about it.
I guess. I
How
don't know.
he can transform.
Or playing video games with his son, trying to philosophize with, with things.
Exactly. That's too funny. Man, I could talk to you all day.
Is it good? I hope this is good. I hope.
Man, own it, Mark.
Nah.
You're a powerful person.
Okay, well, so at this men's retreat, it was the one men's group I didn't like go into feeling like I had to prove my value. I kind of like stayed back and like I let my drumming actually do my worthiness talking. And it was weird. Like, I know how to drum. I can keep a beat. But things came out like musically with me. And at the end, the leader was like, Mark, you have gifts. And so it's not to boast of myself, but what better way to serve the people around you than to understand your own worthiness? I am worthy of picking up the damn drum and start drumming and have a good time and like keep that beat. And then to further on, some other things happen in this men's retreat. And I was able to prove my nursing abilities, and I was just in the right place at the right time to help other people. And I learned there that I am worthy to help. I am worthy to help other people. And so that's kind of the next stage of my life is, how can I do that more? How can I help people? So
can I make a suggestion?
please.
I think you should just own every moment that you're serving. Like this podcast, it is so powerful, Mark.
Oh, good.
You're a powerful person.
Oh,
Just own it.
appreciate it. I receive that.
Every time that you hope something's good, just say, this is actually really damn good.
Good.
Because you are a powerful person. You can serve people medically. You have that gift. You have the gift to help people mentally as well.
Yeah. So I'm again just working on my feelings of worthiness. I'm actually giving a talk in church in 2 weeks about worthiness, man. Oh man, I can't imagine. Because I'm like the worst Mormon in the world, but like I just love the people at the church, and I love like my Savior, and I love my Father in heaven, and I have a very personal relationship with him, and I do it differently than probably a majority of people. But I'm just excited to kind of get up on the pulpit and see what comes out, dude. I don't know. We'll see. But
yeah. The Genius of Jesus. Super good book. Obviously, we talked before. There's some things that weren't necessarily hippopotamus about, but 99% of that book is a must-read book, and I would suggest anyone to. The reason you say that is because there's a portion of the book how oftentimes when Jesus was alive, and I'm just getting into Christianity. I believe in Jesus, the Holy Spirit, God fully. I'm just starting to learn. So part of my language, but I want to say the Pharisees were the perfect people or the perfect people. Mm-hmm. Is that right? So Jesus would oftentimes on Sundays would heal or whatever the case is. The Pharisees saw it as not sin. Following the Sabbath, as sin. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes Jesus would ask questions like, so if you saw your sheep fall into a pit, would you pull it out of the pit? And obviously Pharisees without questions like, well, yeah. And so his teaching was religion isn't necessarily 100% rule. It's boundaries to follow, but always those rules don't always serve the good of the world.
Wow, dude. I'm going to use that in my talk. Wow, dude, that's yeah, man. Like
there's right and there's good. The right thing is law. It's the rule. You have to look at what's going to serve the world, and that's the good. That's what really should be followed.
That's so powerful, dude. That is so powerful, and that's why I love my brother Jesus, and why I look to his example and have my whole life to strive to be my best self. So I'm gonna read that, and I'm actually gonna probably put some of that in my talk. So
please do. It's a really good book.
It's good, dude.
Genuine question. What is the best advice that you've received around worthiness?
Yeah, I'd say the advice I got from God, and that is that he loves me. Like, he loves me. And not only that, but he wants me to have and do and be everything I hope and dream. And when I can surrender to his love, universe, God, whatever it is, when I can surrender to what it is that he wants for me, that's when all the blessings come. So I'll say this because I come off very egocentric in many ways. It's not that I'm trying to boast of myself, but I'm trying to show what can come from surrendering and loving yourself and feeling worthy. The other day, like money is tight for everyone, right? And I've kind of started these different businesses and things that just kind of started happening just by like me getting out of my own way. But one day, about 2 weeks ago, I got like 5 calls, random calls, for my ERC businesses, which is a tax benefit, just helping people, like especially businesses that are struggling to make ends meet right now, that didn't know about this tax benefit. It's just the fact that my intent in the business was to help people that needed it, that I had knowledge about something that I can help them with. And it just grew into this crazy thing. Long story short, in one business day, we were needing to make some more money for a certain thing. One day, 5 calls came in, and there's just no other explanation but that I'm getting out of my own way. I'm just allowing God to love me and to give to me. And I think that's where the most, we talk about them like they're blessings, but just recognizing those blessings, more of them come,
that God loves you.
That's his way of saying it.
Surrender, and then naturally blessings will come in.
Mm-hmm. And
that's amazing.
And using that money, the temporal stuff, to help more people find their own strength and love within themselves, right? So
I love that. Man, you really are a powerful person.
Oh, thanks, dude.
You're making a big impact in this world, and I'm excited to see all the impact that you make in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
With that in mind, as we come to a close today, what is your definition of a prosperous life?
I was trying to look. I actually was going to look up the word definition of prosperous. But the way I understand prosperous, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's an abundance, whether that be a feeling or it's an abundance of something. Right? Is that right? Prosperous?
There's so many different definitions.
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to Google it, but
everybody has a different definition. That's what makes it so beautiful.
That's why that question's so impactful.
And honestly, I just haven't never really referenced the definition either.
Oh, wow.
I have in the past, obviously.
Right.
But
I'd say a prosperous life is an abundant life. It's realizing that everything you are and have been is exactly what it needs to be, and realizing that you need nothing more.
Amazing.
And then realizing or receiving what it is that God wants you to do, to be more and do more, right?
Sure.
So I think it's just surrendering. Where you're at right now is perfect. And then making tomorrow just that little bit better from within, right? So when I think of prosper, I'm thinking someone that's thriving, an abundance. And I think that comes from just realizing that you're worthy of that prosperous life, of a worthy life, of an abundant life.
I love that.
So
it's powerful. And what can I, and obviously the community and audience here, do to support you? How can we follow you, serve you?
Yeah, so I'm actually off Instagram right now. My dopamine levels were way too high. I had just got back from Costa Rica, Bear Lake, all this really fun stuff. Oh, and the men's retreat. So I realized the cheap dopamine I get from social media and stuff was clouding my judgment of what I needed to do. So not on Instagram at the moment. I imagine in a month or so, I'll probably be back on. Please reach out to me if you need something. Not temporarily. I don't have a whole lot temporarily, but I want to help people find themselves. And
this will come out in 2 weeks too. So drop your Instagram handle.
Yeah. At M Allsop. So M Allsop 86, MALLSOP 86.
I love it. And we'll drop that too, just
So-
so they can follow you along.
Yeah. Come hang out, drop a line. If you're struggling, I'll point you in the right direction. I do choose my energy and how much I can give out. But like I have a lot of clients right now and I'm not taking anyone right now, but I definitely will point you in the right direction of someone that can. Cause I just don't want people to go through this life without all the beauty that it has to offer, man. So,
Yeah, 100%.
so
With that in mind, do you have any last words for him?
no, I think I've said it all. Just, I love you. And like, I love you. You guys are all, every single person, you, Megan, like you're divine beings and deserve all of the love and happiness and gratitude in the world. So feel it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, man.
Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up today. And with that in mind, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you're in a time right now where you are struggling, you're struggling to find worthiness, or you just want a community, down below, I'm going to drop the Prosperous Life membership. Come join my membership. I coach you on a weekly basis. You get to come into a community of love and light and to show you that you are worthy. And I'll show you those steps. With that in mind, have a wonderful rest of your day.